Good evening, everyone. My name is Terry Lewis, and one thing that stood out for me while I was reading was the case of Charlotte, where she had made a decision to diagnose patients with an adjustment disorder because she was worried about labeling them. The reason she was worried about labeling them was in order for her to get paid, she had to have made a diagnosis first before the insurance company would start paying her. So she felt like if she labeled them adjustment disorder, that they would less likely be upset of the diagnosis with her clients. So of course, yes, that's not ethical and it's insurance fraud. But in the book, it said that it was understandable. I'm not quite sure what they mean by understandable. That's like you're putting a label on somebody that might just be having a bad day or just might need to talk to somebody. And in her case, it showed that 80% of her clients had been diagnosed with this adjustment disorder. To me, that's a big red flag for insurance companies themselves to be paying for 80% of her clients that had adjustment disorder. So you just think about how many counselors are faced with that same dilemma, not getting paid until a diagnosis has been made, and how many of them you wonder are just labeling people for money to get paid. So that was one thing that stood out. Another thing that I thought was very interesting was when Dr. Lopez, in her video, she talked about how do a counselor determine if a client is suicidal. And if the client answers yes, then the counselor has asked several follow-up questions to see what their intentions are, such as do you have a plan? Well, can you tell me the specifics about what you would do in your plan? Do you have the weapons or the pills to carry this out? And if the client answers yes, you continue to follow up with, have you ever tried to commit suicide before? If you did, what happened? To me, that just seems like, I guess we need to talk. You would need to talk about the suicidal thoughts, but to ask, do you have a plan? Do you have the weapon? I see both sides of it, but to me, that just seemed like a wow moment because I would want to skirt around it. Not necessarily, I don't mean skirt around it, but I mean I would feel a little apprehensive about asking someone, do they have a plan? But it was a learning experience for me because now I know what to expect when I have students that come in that claim that they want to kill themselves. I need to ask those follow-up questions to see just how seriously their thoughts are into committing the suicide. And it was really amazing to me. Like I couldn't believe it that if someone threatens another person to do harm to someone, every state in the United States except Texas requires you, the counselor, to inform the victim that's been targeted and police department of the threat. So out of all 50 states, only one, and it happens to be Texas, that doesn't have a law to protect those that have threats against them. So thank you for your time, and I hope you guys have a great week. Thank you.